International press now with Florence Villeminot. Hello there.
Hi, Gavin.
Been thumbing through the papers frantically for us, and of course there's still a lot of confusion about what's happened to that Malaysia Airlines plane. Nobody seems to have any real leads or even verified information.
That's right. It's been 5 days since that flight MH370 went missing. The search effort continues, but if we take a look at the front page of The Star, that's a Malaysian paper, it says that it's like a needle in a haystack. Now, as you said, there's a lot of confusion over the plane's last known location, and the mystery has deepened after military sources said it may have flown 350 miles after it transmitted its last location. Now, The Star says the frustrating question is, how does a jet disappear like that, despite all the state-of-the-art technology
We're
that we have?
just not used to it at all, are we? Usually, if any kind of these accidents do happen, you find out quite quickly afterwards, at least where the plane was just before it disappeared.
And it's been 5 days, and the clock is ticking. Now, the International New York Times also focuses on this and says that, this will really stay a mystery until we can recover the plane's black boxes. So just to remind you, a black box, which is actually not black, it's bright orange. It's the box that contains all the flight's digital flight data. Now, according to this article, it wonders why in this era of instant wireless connection must we actually hunt down a physical object that stays in the plane? Why isn't a black box transmitted in real time? And it points out that this technology actually already exists. Some planes are already equipped with this, and it points out that if all planes were equipped with such technology, well, it would shorten the agonizing wait for answers in the case of a disaster.
Particularly, of course, for the relatives and loved ones of those who were on board. And thinking about the passengers, there's still a lot of focus on these two passengers who were known to have been travelling on stolen European passports, but we don't know a great deal more about them than that, do we?
That's right. There's not much that's known about them, but there's a photo of them that's on the front page of China Daily, these two mystery passengers. Now, Malaysian authorities and Interpol say that actually these are Iranian citizens who were using these stolen European passports, but they played down the likelihood of terrorism. Rather, they were traveling to Europe to seek work. And so The Independent actually calls this the tragedy of flight MH370, how two young Iranians traveling on stolen passports died in search of a better life. But The Independent's kind of going out on a limb here because we don't even know where the plane is.
Absolutely. And then another angle that's being looked at is the pilots who were on board this plane. Now, Malaysia Airlines have come out today saying that they are not looking at pilot error, but still some details coming out about them.
That's right. Just who were these pilots? Now, The Telegraph focuses on one of them, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. Now, you can see a photo of him here. The article points out that he liked to entertain passengers in the cockpit. And actually, Malaysian Airlines said it was shocked to see these pictures that have emerged. Now, this was on a flight in 2011. He invited two South Africans to join him in the cockpit. And according to one of them, he smoked, he was joking with them, he allowed them to stay in the cockpit. But though he, quote, was possibly a little sleazy, she, according to this tourist, well, she felt like he was in control of the aircraft.
People really looking for any clue at all now, really, aren't they? So let's move on to other news. Coming out of the United States, a prisoner who's been released 30 years after a wrongful conviction.
That's right. This is an incredible story. You can read about it in The Atlantic. This is Glenn Ford. Now, he's been freed from the notorious Angola prison in Louisiana, and for 30 years he lived under the shadow of the death sentence. Now, his release makes him one of the longest-serving death row inmates in U.S. history to be exonerated, and he was exonerated because new information came up about the case. He was convicted in 1984 by an all-white jury for the death of a white man, and asked about his release as he walked away from prison. He says, "It feels good. My mind is going in all kinds of directions, but it feels good."
Unbelievable. You can't even imagine, can you? We're going to finish on something much more frivolous, a video that's gone viral online this week.
That's right. This is you've probably already seen this. I've never seen a video shared so much on social media. You can take a look at it. It's called First Kiss.
Oh, I have seen this.
You have seen
About
this.
25% of my Facebook friends have posted this.
Now, this is by a director, Tatia Piliva. Now, she got together 20 strangers and got them to kiss. So you can see them here kind of, playfully looking at each other, giggling, and then
It's so awkward.
smooching. So it starts out being awkward, but then it turns out to be really cute and romantic. And according to Slate, it'll melt your frozen heart until you get to the credits, because this article points out that, don't forget, this is actually an advertisement for clothes.
Oh, cynical.
Boo! And it points out also that all of the 20 people involved are, well, they might be strangers, but they're very good-looking strangers because they're all models or musicians or socialites, etc. So this an article in Slate wonders what would have happened if she had really pulled together 20 real strangers. It
Just
would
the
have been,
first 20 people to walk down the street.
That's right, 20 people at France 24, for instance. It would be perhaps less beautiful, but a lot more entertaining, even though maybe a little less shareable.
Perhaps, yeah, a little bit more awkward. Thanks very much for that, Florence Villemino, with a look at the international press for us. We're going to take a short break here on Live in Paris. Stay tuned. In the next half hour, we've got the latest on all our top news stories, plus our special report from South Sudan on violent ethnic tensions.